Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Asher, and thank you for joining me for something a little bit different this time. And I am joined by my good friend Ace. We are going to be looking at some of the class changes that are coming up in Legion, some of the ability pruning that's going on, and pretty much everything we can sum up. Keep in mind, this is the pre-patch, not the actual expansion, so we can't show Demon Hunters or any of the new content, but we are looking over what is live today. Ace, kind of give them a background on you real quick.
How's it going, guys? Been playing since BC with Asher here, and I've had about every character max level, done pretty much every raid. I've done PvP, you name it, and I'm just here to help him explain what's going on with the new expansion coming out. So, here we
Yeah.
are.
Yep, and there's a lot going on this time, guys. What you're seeing right now is my enhancement shaman, and all of those blank boxes, those used to all have spells in them. So I have lost about 16 different abilities or had different things baked into the talent tree that I can't have anymore, and it's really it really makes me feel like I cannot handle a lot of the situations that I used to be able to do. What you're seeing right now is the visualization changes, though. So spell changes aside, the visualizations have had a drastic improvement. You see Ace over there on his warrior, and then me on my shaman, and the shaman sounds good, the shaman feels good, there's impact when I hit on this guy. It's really, really good.
Yeah, and as you notice on my warrior as well, I mean, my new thunderclap, it just looks amazing. It makes it look like you're doing a lot more impact than what it used to be. It looks amazing. I'm liking the new visual changes a lot.
Yeah, you have no complaints from me on the visual department. Granted, that's going to be subjective for a lot of people, and I haven't played every class out right now, but the ones that I have played, every single one of them, I feel that there is an improvement. Now, gameplay-wise, that's a little bit different. I mean, the shaman that I'm playing right now, it's pretty much the same. Instead of shocks, I have strikes, but gameplay-wise, it feels right about where it used to be. How's your warrior hanging up over there?
See, with my warrior, nothing's really changed that much, honestly. The only difference is your charge and your intercept are now one button. It's all integrated into one. So, say you wanted to charge, you can charge. If you want to intercept to someone, I'm demonstrating in the video how that works. You'll see me intercept to him, and then you'll see me charge to the dummy. Then, besides that, all the moves are the same. I still use Thunderclap, Devastate, Shield Slam. You name it. It's identical to what it
So
used to be.
they didn't prune the warrior too bad like they have some of the other classes, and that's gonna be the running theme here. Some classes got hit a lot harder than other ones. My hunter, on the other hand, my hunter, man, I have almost 100 days playtime on him, but we'll get to him in a second. Right now, we're looking at the new Transmog tab, and I think this is probably the coolest change and the most much needed change. Objectively, the best thing that they have done thus far. How do you feel about the Transmog so far?
I'm really digging it as well. It really reminds me of the Diablo system. I mean, you get in there and you see everything that you've picked up through quests, through any raid, anything you've ever picked up and it's been bound to you. You can go and select it. I mean, I've got pages upon pages of stuff that I can go through and transmog now too.
Yeah, stuff that we've completely forgot about that we got like 6 or 7 years ago. It's there. My Vanquisher Blade from the Scarlet Monastery quest back in the day. It's all there. So that part I'm really enjoying. And you can save any of the transmogs that you make, and you can just hit an instant reset button on it, and you don't have to hold on to these items anymore. So that part, hats off, Blizzard. I wish they would have done this a long time ago. I'm glad they finally got to this point with Transmog, because it's just making everything so much smoother and easier to get the items that you're looking for. Now, the Hunter. Let's get back onto the Hunter real quick. The Hunter is one of the classes who have had some really drastic changes. I no longer have traps on. Well, let me back that up a little bit. So 2 specs don't have traps anymore. Marksman and Beast Mastery. I don't have traps anymore. I have very few buttons. I have one cooldown on Marksman, and the most optimal way to play the Hunter gives me 4 buttons that I'm pressing. And the AoE in the single target is exactly the same. Arcane Shot and Multi-Shot have been weaved into Sidewinders, and I still have Barrage, and then I have a proc, and then my aim shot is my filler. I don't have steady shot anymore to build focus. It's really, really dumbed down, and Beast Mastery, it's even worse. Like, I think that's about 3 buttons to press. Now, I know that everyone keeps saying that this is all tuned around 110, and when we get our artifact weapons and get our traits and everything, let me go on records to say that I've looked at those talent trees for those artifact weapons. I get one more button. Everything else is passive, so don't sit there and tell me that the feel of my class has been completely changed and that will fix when I get a weapon that gives me one extra ability, because it's not going to happen. What you're running your Death Knight in this footage here right now, right?
Yep.
How does your Death Knight feel?
It's like play wise, it feels a lot like the same, the flow of it and everything, but it just feels different. There's nothing like it used to be. You go in, you hit Blood Boil, that's obviously your AoE, and then you use Heart Strike now. They gave back Heart Strike in this, and Heart Strike is your filler. You use that just to fill your runic power. And it right here on this boss, you see me, I go in with Death and Decay, go in, Heart Strike, whatever, use Blood Boil to get all the attraction. And it's simple. It's not the same anymore. I'm not saying I'm complaining about it, but I'm not a real big fan of it either. It's just too simplified.
Now, some of it will come with tuning, because I know you're seeing a pretty low-level dungeon right now, and he's not going to be taking a lot of damage, so you wouldn't have to do a lot of active mitigation. I would imagine raids would be a little bit different. So tuning-wise, that's not what we're talking about. What we're talking about is how these classes feel. So a Blood DK doesn't really feel like a tank anymore. He feels like a DPS, and if you look at some of the numbers that we're pulling on here, that... Again, tuning aside, he is pulling like 80k DPS in here as a tank, and I'm doing like 90 to 100k depending on the pack that we're pulling. So that's not what we really want to focus on. I know you used to play a Disc Priest really heavy though, right?
Absolutely. My Disc Priest, he actually used to be my highest level, my most geared character. There we go. And I don't even touch it anymore. I've put it on the shelf, and I haven't touched it since this new stuff came out. So.
They kind of turned it into like a DPS healing hybrid, and even Blizzard themselves came out and said, yeah, they're not supposed to be the best healer because you're doing damage instead. It's like, but I want to be a healer. I've been playing Disc for years and years and years.
Yeah, I was gonna say, ever since I made the Priest, it's been Disc. That's the only thing I've ever played is Disc Priest. So I'm kind of upset about that. It's taken away my healer. I loved playing that as a healer.
I feel the same way about my Hunter, man. My Hunter has been my go-to guy for 6 years now, I think, somewhere around there. And that's just
roughly.
This Hunter. Yeah, it's been a long time. And you have Survival, which is now a melee spec. It's not even ranged, which it sounds cool, yes. I haven't really played around with it too much because good luck finding a decent polearm with agility on it right now in this late into the expansion. But it's still not going to be my instant casting, insanely fast melee. Or not, excuse me, not melee, not the survival. It's not my insanely fast instant cast range class, and I just don't like it. I feel like I'm standing still way too much. I don't have the mobility, and I think that's a big theme a lot too, is a lot of classes have lost a lot of mobility. I know Rep Pallies got hit with that hard, and most of the Rep Pallies I've talked to are just, they're done. They're re-rolling. And that's pretty sad that you have to be, it almost like you're being forced to re-roll to a different class because of what has happened to yours, because of how drastic this pruning has happened. I've been playing this game almost since launch. I've never seen an ability prune this big before. Like, they have made some serious changes to some of these classes. Some are good, some not.
And it's almost like they're trying to get this game prepared for console. It almost feels like it.
Almost. I could do it. I could easily have the 4 face buttons that I use as my Hunter and then like hold one of the triggers to get my other ones. I could literally play this class with one hand at this point, except moving out of stuff. And that's really kind of where it's tearing me up the most, is I don't feel like there's enough to differentiate a good player from a bad player now, because a 5-year-old can press Sidewinders and hit the button when it lights up and hit the barrage on cooldown. That's all I'm doing with aim shot as a filler. Now, that's not all classes, and maybe it's just because I'm a Hunter at heart, but it really kind of hurts me that I feel like I'm going to hang this class up until something changes. I may do some dailies on him, but he's not going to be my main anymore. I'm already settled on that.
I was going to say, I mean, you've been Asher the Hunter for as long as I can remember, right? So it's gonna be weird.
Yeah, I've never really done videos on WoW because it's kind of like my pastime that I don't show off too much, but I felt like this is a lot going on, and it's a big enough thing that we can do a lot of content on. And I believe the rogue is coming up here pretty quick. We've got some footage of the rogue, and you're playing a mage on that one, right?
Yeah, I'll
What's
be playing
the mage
as
like?
the mage. I'm not a big fan of. I've never been a big fan of mage to begin with, so honestly, I'm not real familiar with the class or how to play it like efficiently. So for me, if I have it as Frost, and with I've never really played it much, like just explained, and I don't know, like it's just
It's
it
about the
feels
same from
yeah.
what
I was
I've
gonna
been
say it
reading.
feels the same, but again, I can't give real solid advice on that kind of
Yeah.
deal.
Yeah, from what I've read, they haven't changed a whole lot. They're still a ranged class, and there's only so much you can do with that. But my rogue, man, I'm playing. It's called Outlaw now. It's no longer called Combat, and it feels fantastic, man. This is a fast-moving spec that has more mobility than it had prior. You're seeing some of the talents on there right now. So that yes, they pruned it, and I don't have like kidney shot anymore. And some of my moves have been baked into my talent tree, so I have to choose between one or the other. So this is an example of where I felt like they did this right. I even have a pistol that I can do ranged attacks with, but they also have a mechanic on them now that's called Roll the Bones, and that's really the big staple of the Outlaw class. Is you spend your combo points to roll a set of dice and get one of 6 predetermined buffs, and you can get one, you can get all the way up to 6 with them with one of these Roll the Bones, and it really powers you up. So it's going to be kind of RNG dependent, but the way this thing feels and the way this thing sounds, I think I'm coming to the conclusion that I think they handled the melee classes, red aside, mind you, but the melee classes with the impact behind them, it just feels good to play now more than it did before. How are you with your Death Knight and your warrior next to your mage? Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. Like I said, I like the effects. I like the feel of the warrior and Death Knight now. It's just like you
It
feel
just
like you're
feels like
doing
you're
way more
smashing
impact.
someone's face in, right?
Yeah, exactly. The effects just make you feel like you're doing so much more than what you're really doing, especially on that Death Knight, or excuse me, the warrior. You go into your Thunderclap and you see that big effect. You're like, all right, I just got everyone's fucking aggro.
Yeah, it's yes, they dumbed down pretty much every single spec. Pretty much. Now you'll see my bars on here. I still got a lot of buttons. I still got quite a few things that I can do as a rogue. And if they would have done too much on that, man, you would have had rogues just ready to burn Blizzard to the ground, because that's one class they don't change a whole lot. Now, I will say I didn't like Assassination too much. That still felt kind of samey to me, but I've always been combat at heart anyways. So this is definitely a positive change in my opinion as to the combat class as a whole. The grappling hook change, oh my god, that is probably the coolest change that I've
You'll see.
had so
I was,
far.
I was gonna say you'll see in this fight. It actually he uses it to his advantage right here, and he gets me right at the end of this duel right here. And there it is. It's
Yeah,
like
just jump in there and you can't get off. It's pretty much a heroic leap for rogues now, and I'm so happy with that. They also added a move called Bribe, which I'm kind of showing off right here. I fly over, and it only works on humanoids, but you can bribe a same level or lower humanoid to fight with you for a little bit, and it's on a 30-minute cooldown. But I grabbed this harpy over here, and we found out that they don't scale. It's bribed at whatever level that you actually use the ability on.
yeah, and this fight here, where he's trying to demonstrate it, like, yeah, see, I can bribe these guys to fight with me, and I was like, all right, so I'm gonna see if this scales to his level, and I noticed that he has like 700 health, and I just kind of one-shot him. I felt kind of bad.
Yep,
I
right
was
there,
like,
the ice lance. Boom! Oh, well, Harpy's dead.
I was like, oh, I'm sorry.
So, again, it's kind of hit or miss. The Shaman feels kind of gutted, but it still feels good to play. My Hunter, I'm really upset about. I think that I made that apparently clear that I'm not happy with that. You're not happy about your Disc Priest, but you feel good about the Death Knight, and the Warrior's pretty much about the same.
Yeah, I feel that the tanks haven't really got messed with too much, so that's a plus for me.
So the Legion is coming, guys. It is coming very soon. The launch date is August 30th. That will open up the 110 content, and hopefully we'll see you guys in game. Until then, my name's Asher, and take it easy.